Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. I'm going to spare you the Star Wars analogies because that would just be too easy. Instead, music is the way I'm going to go. For you Pink Floyd fans, I have the Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon. And for you deadheads out there, I have the Omega Speedmaster Grey Side of the Moon, adding its touch of gray to our composition here. The bottom line is that it's rare that I get two exceptionally uncommon, red-hot current models side by side to make an apples to apples comparison, but that's exactly what I've got today. Now, I've only had a handful of the dark sides. This is the first gray side I've seen, and it's probably going to be a long time before I have one of each again. So I'm making the most of this opportunity to show everyone out on the YouTube channel how these watches compare and contrast, and I feel that the contrast is really going to be the source of interest, because with the same 44.25 millimeter ceramic case composition, the same dial layout, the same features, both are on a strap, and of course each is powered by the same Omega caliber 9300 automatic coaxial chronograph movement. The real point of interest is how they are distinct from each other. So I'm going to start with the original, the 2013 Dark Side of the Moon. This watch took Baselworld 2013 by storm. It remains red hot to this day, and in fact it took the Moon watch where it had never been. Rather than being a true line-for-line tribute to any given Omega Speedmaster professional moon watch, this is more of an interpretive tribute to the romance of the space program, the allure, the mystery of space travel that most people associate with the moon watch, and it's able to liberate itself from some of the practical constraints that come with that watch's NASA certification. For instance, this watch is bigger than the 42mm at 44.25. It's more modern, being automatic winding with a sapphire crystal, a display caseback, and a contemporary coaxial chronometer movement. So this watch really defines itself by the first ever use of a full ceramic case on an Omega Speedmaster. Beautifully finished, it has alternately brushed and polished facets, with the bevels of the lugs and the case flanks being high polish. So despite the fact that it's all black, you still do get excellent contrast here. Now, of course, you have the inset Omega symbol right here in Luminova, and the theme of the all-black watch continues through this fully loomed black ceramic polished tachometer. Now, moving inboard from the tach, this is really where these two watches set themselves apart, and it's the first mark of distinction. Each one features the name, the chemical name, you can't quite see it on the iPhone, but the chemical name of the dial substance is stamped just above the cannon pinion, the junction of the hands. Here it's zirconium dioxide. That is, the dial itself, as well as the subregisters, are polished black ceramic. High gloss, it almost looks like a lacquer or enamel. It has depth to it. It looks wet. It looks like a freshly waxed car using top-grade product. And it really shines. In direct light, or even in indoor light, it has a life to it that brings this already outgoing watch to another level. And make no mistake, this watch has one speed, maximum. It's a statement watch. It's like a stealth fighter on your wrist. Less a moon rocket and more an earthbound stealth combat aircraft like a B-2 Spirit or an F-117. Against the skin, really any skin tone, it's so deep, it's dark, it's almost shockingly assertive. This is a watch with a strong personality, and it might not be appropriate for all attire, but it's definitely a watch that'll be a hit at any party, in any company. It makes a serious and seriously loud statement, and it has serious presence on the wrist. All black, it features a textile overlay on top of a calfskin leather base, so it's got more of a rugged, go-anywhere, adventure-seeking kind of persona to it. This watch really is about going into the unknown and roughing it out there. Whereas the Grey Side of the Moon, which debuted in 2014 at Baselworld, is arguably the more refined of the two and the more versatile watch. It's a bit more muted, a bit more subdued, but it's more nuanced as well. And the more you look at it, the more you realize the ingenuity that went into its design and making it the more versatile watch. Now you can see that starts with the strap. Rather than this kind of industrial, military-style textile, you have a gray contrasting stitch alligator. Formal and beautiful. Underneath, they're actually the same black calf with contrasting red stitch, but it's on top where the differences begin, and they continue inboard, where you see that this version of Omega's ceramic case has been plasma treated, And the end result of that plasma treatment is that all the way through, from the exterior to the core of this ceramic case, it reads as a gray metal, and that gray metal has been granted brushed and polished facets that not only contrast beautifully, but unlike stainless steel or true metal cases with these finishes, they have all the resilience of ceramic, nearly as scratch resistant as the sapphire crystal itself. Unlike your old Rolex or Omega sports watches of yore, this is going to hold its polish and hold its brushed finish. And again, having the look of a finely finished metal watch with the resilience of a ceramic watch that doesn't read as ceramic, that's the genius of the Grey Side's case construction and case finish. Continuing inboard, you have that fully loomed tachometer scale on a circular grained gray ceramic bezel that gives way to a completely unique dial, whereas here it's polished ceramic. Here, it's not even ceramic at all. It's 95% purity platinum, and it has a life to it that's born of the texture of the dial, whereas this is completely slick. Finished to a mirror shine, there's a grain to this dial. It's got a grittiness. It's got a texture that explodes in the sunlight when each of the individual ridges across that dial scatter and reflect the light in a chaotic sort of dazzling fashion that really brings this watch to life. And again, it's the nuance. It's what you don't expect when you see it in this indoor lighting where it looks matte gray. You take it outdoors, you put it in the sun, and suddenly it's got life, it's got an animus all of its own. And the bottom line is that the sub-registers are correspondingly platinum, so it reads as all of a piece. From polished ceramic pin buckle, also plasma treated, and I'm going to call out the fact that each of these watches uses a special ceramic pin buckle that's a little bit burlier, a little bit more solid, not to mention more resistant to desk diving scratches than a conventional buckle. So all of these watches, from the pin buckle to the case to the pushers, the crown, and the bezels themselves, are designed for long wear and long-lasting good looks. Now, in terms of their mechanical specification, each one features the gorgeous Omega in-house coaxial chronograph movement, silicon hairspring, silicon balance wheel, anti-magnetic, shock-resistant, 60-hour power reserve, column wheel, vertical clutch chronographs. Each of them features automatic winding as well as COSC chronometer spec precision. So in terms of watchmaking savoir-faire and literally cutting-edge technology, they are a dead heat. This particular space race is a tie. But when you turn the watch over and realize how differently they read, this one being more versatile, this one being more visceral, you get a sense of the character of these watches. So similar in so many ways, if you were to silhouette them against a backlight, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But in the hand, on the wrist, when you see the difference between that earlier impression of the dark side and then the versatility, the subdued impression of the gray side, you get a sense of how different they are and why there's room in the Omega catalog, and perhaps in your collection, for both of these Omega Speedmasters, the dark side and the gray side of the moon, respectively.